Hey everybody, welcome to Habitat Now. It's an exciting day as we have today's MasterWorks auction for some smaller scale pieces. It's something new we're trying and we're excited about it. And we've have a lot of requests from artists, from our clients to see what's hidden in our vaults and what's smaller they can still fit in their collection. So we're honored to do it. And what's also exciting is we're having 360 videos of every piece in this auction, except for I think maybe six of them that we'll have a chance to preview also today. They're all on the MasterWorks site. And the videos are there too, so you can kind of see before you bid or probably even during bidding, you take a look at these cool little 360s, which is kind of exciting to give a glimpse at every single piece because you know as well as I that photos never do artworks justice. So without further ado, let me take over your screen and start with the PowerPoint real quick, and we'll go from there. So um, we continue to do these Zooms every weekend. We're honored to have you join us today. If you don't get the link or you want to share it, they're always under the hamburger button on our website. You see it there below the word click, and you can see virtual presentations. Just click there and you'll get our RSVP information. Love doing these talks. They're a lot of fun. If you have ideas for different topics, we're open for anything. They're a lot of fun. We love sharing what we know and love with the world. The glass tour is filling up. If you haven't signed up for this trip to go with Ferd and Kathy to Europe from port to port to visit different institutions and galleries and museums and artist studios, it's time to sign up. They're placing the final plans right now. Glass 52 is coming up quick, or almost like a month away. And it's so exciting to be part of planning this year. We're having such exciting things. I just sent out a newsletter yesterday about some exciting new details coming up. Tolan Sand's now going to be giving a talk during our event, a special exhibition by Julian Robert Rogers. We recently added Richard Jolly to the presentation. This is an ad that we just put out recently in a local magazine celebrating to get the public in for the grand opening on Saturday night. Um, there's 20 new artists that are invited to the show you've never seen before in our gallery. The Stephanie Trenchard class has been planned out. You're going to be painting on rondelles, and it's going to be a real exciting thing you get to take home. And the auction's coming together, so it's all the plans are coming into place. I mentioned Richard Jolly demonstration. Now John Miller, cooking with John Miller up at the Flint Institute of Arts. We're going to be visiting. It's an amazing time. Plan on being there in early May, May 1st through the 5th. The first is the Artist Gala. We're celebrating all the artists across the street of the glassblowing facility. We did this last year at Axiom Studios. There's this Trenchard class. So plan on being there. So without further ado, let's get into the auction. So thank you, Ferd, for joining me today. And thank you, Corey, for being here to talk about these great and incredible pieces. So here we go. So today, the auction starts today. After this at 2:15, the auction is on our MasterWorks site. If you haven't been there, there's a button on top of our website. It says View Auctions. You can click that. You can go to habitatauctions.com. But either way, you get to the right place, register and bid. There's some wonderful treasures for you to preview if you haven't yet. But that's where the auctions always will be, is on top of our website. And this is on our own platform, which saves the buyer's premium. Yeah, and then I kind of ripped apart the banner up there, but habitatauctions.com takes you straight there. So there are 360 videos that we're going to be talking about. And I kind of put one in the first talk to see if this works properly. And if it does, we'll switch over to the actual auction platform so we can kind of see what's going on. But let's give it a whirl. The very first piece in the auction is an old historic Laura Donifer piece. Let's see if it works in this platform. So you get a chance to see every side in this virtual 360, which is kind of fun as we put these pieces in. I've never seen Laura Donifer like this. Have you, Corey?
Yeah, Aaron, before we discuss every piece, let's talk about the premise of this auction. So I figured once a year we put together something that Ferd had developed years ago called Scale Detail. And so it was a show that he had put together. Maybe Ferd, you want to talk a little bit about that show?
Yeah, actually, we had two of them because the first one was so popular. Work kept getting larger and larger, and people that lived in smaller environments didn't have places for it. And so what we did is we challenged the artists to work smaller for this exhibition. And it was really amazing because in some ways, smaller work is it's kind of more personal. It's a very nice feeling about it. And then it actually developed some people that were just collecting smaller works. And there's some wonderful collections of, major works, but in smaller scale.
I think Carol Kaminer was one of those early on collectors, Carol and Jim, of smaller objects. Is that correct?
Yeah, oh, you're right. Uh-huh.
Yeah, so so we kind of taking on Ferd's idea that he had early on and doing an annual approach to it, but via auction. And so what this auction has is a number of pieces that are small, that are older vintage pieces, historic pieces from some of the legends in studio glass, as well as younger artists and newer work, but also on a smaller scale. So the Laura Donifer, as well as this Tom Patty, are part of the historic side. That was an early piece by Laura Donifer that she had created. Actually, the collection we got it from had a number of Laura Donifers from a long time ago. We're talking 84, 85. She wasn't represented at Habatat. She was represented by the Ariana Gallery, which was in downtown Royal Oak. And so it's a very early piece, but you can still see that it's a Donifer, which is really kind of incredible. So I love that, that there's and Aaron, you're right. I haven't seen anything like this before. I'm sure Ferd has many times,
No,
but
no, I haven't. No, this is quite rare. Um, as you mentioned, I didn't really have any for sale, but that's the first work that I saw of hers that intrigued me to invite her into the gallery.
wow.
So we're gonna switch gears here a bit, and we're gonna switch over to the website. If I can get this thing to stop playing.
Okay.
And see how it works in this station. So this is the MasterWorks site right here, with all the options to bid and to check out the work. So if you click an individual piece, just like the Patty we're talking about, we're going to get some audio. See if I can kill that. Kill the audio. YouTube videos, that's for sure. It's a little. I don't know if you can hear it, but I can. So there's different pieces on there. You can zoom in, zoom out, and watch the video.
Where'd the music come from? Just in the back.
They offer free music through here it is, through the YouTube platform. So you can get an idea to see even about a 15-second video on every single piece, just to give an idea of texture and depth. And
this is a very important piece. And you ask why, and there was a show early on in the late 70s that went from Corning. I believe it went to the museum. I believe it went to the Met. Is that true, Ferd? It went to Toledo. Did it go to the Met?
It went to the Met, went to the Toledo Museum. Yeah. I traveled to Japan, and it still, I feel, is the most significant exhibit ever compiled on studio glass. And you're right, the cover of the catalog was a Tom Patty, and this one is from 1977. The catalog came out in 1979, and I think it says in the description, Tom Buechner, then the director of the Corning, said that it was really the only true technique that had been developed in studio glass that had never been used before.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm fighting a bit, but it works without audio on YouTube, so we can click over to
I had dinner with Tom Patty and his wife at the Smithsonian Gala. That was last September. Aaron was there. We were sitting at the table, and I said, well, "What have you been doing, Tom?" And apparently, he works. He's got some major installations that he's been working on, and he currently works at Raytheon, the multi-billion-dollar company, hires him to consult about glass, which is really quite fascinating since, he's almost like a scientist when it comes to the material.
We jump to the next piece, which is this very fun work by our friend Richard Jolly.
Yeah, there's some nice Richard Jollies in this auction. There's some very early ones. This one's a little bit later. Yeah, what is this? A date on it?
I think it's right.
What did you say, Cory?
Oh,
I was
seven.
wondering what the date of it is, but
Oh, I'll tell you in 2 seconds. Oh, it's not risk. Listen, I'm guessing it's about that, Corey, 2000 something.
Yeah, yeah, and
yeah, really,
he's going to be blowing glass for our international, our 52nd International Glass Invitational. He's the main headliner, and so you haven't seen him work on the end of a blowpipe. It's really quite magical.
yeah, he's one of the greatest in the country.
I agree. All right, we jump into another Richard Jolly here, which I can maximize the screen for. These are the line drawing pieces.
Yeah,
Really clicking it, glitching on my computer here. Here we go.
There you go. I love that.
yeah, it's really a nice one.
Fawn, right? Playing a flute.
Yep, yep.
Play it one more time so we can see it. I think the screen glitching out. Yeah, the videos really add to them.
Yeah, yeah. It's not as stagnant as looking at the one image. The video, we just have to make them a little less choppier, and I think I could probably do that and set a different background. But really, it gives you an idea of what the piece looks like.
Right. You can
And
watch all these videos yourself. The choppiness is running through the internet. So if you watch the actual video itself, there isn't any choppiness. Great historic piece by our friend Mark Pizer.
I mean, look at these prices. The start prices are extremely, extremely low, and we just wanted to have an auction that's accessible, to really virtually anybody that's watching it. But if you don't have a Mark Pizer in your collection, and he really invented this drawing onto the surfaces of glass during the paperweight vase series, and this is a precursor to that particular series with the flowers.
Yeah, it's opaque color. Really beautiful pieces, though, with the first usage of canes on it from an American artist, dated 1971, same year that Habatat started.
Mm.
And Pilchuck, right? Is that correct?
Yeah,
Pilchuck,
and Pilchuck too, same year, same month too.
amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing. This one was a much better piece to see it in video because of the rotation of the two sculptures.
Yeah.
So,
Now I was talking to Richard Ritter about these, and when he made these, the BBAC, which is the BBAA now, the Birmingham Bloomfield Art Association, there was a glass blowing shop that he ran with Stuart Schulman. And he said that he wanted to get some glass and he didn't know how to do that. So he heard of a guy, Joel Philip Myers, and he wrote to Joel and said, "Hey, Joel, I'm Richard Ritter. I'm starting this class program to teach glass blowing, and I'm doing it in Michigan, Birmingham, Michigan. I need some glass. I know you work for Blanco." And back then there was very little checks and balances, but one day, about a month later, he received 8 giant, he said, barrels of glass, barrels of glass. And he said they were so heavy, he had to like shove them off the truck. They fell to the ground. They had to like shovel the glass back into the barrel and tip them up because there was no way to remove them from the truck. It was like, so he wrote Joel and he said, "Joel, what do I owe you for this?" And he goes, "Oh, nothing. It's on me."
Hmm.
So really, we owe a lot to these artists being able to communicate early on and help each other out. And that's what's so wonderful about the studio glass movement.
Yeah.
all right. Innovative works by our friend Joe Ivacek. You don't have a spray can by our friend. They're kind of his icon. He was a street artist going by the name of Paradigm Shift. And he would, in his youth, street, decorate with spray paint, discovered glass, and took over his world. And these are kind of his staples. They're very cool pieces. And they're going to be releasing an edition of his soon as well. But this is a great chance to get him at a great price.
There's an artwork named Trump Lloyd.
And there's 2 cans in this exhibition. You have the
Lost you.
Paradigm Shift with his name on it. And then you also have the next piece in this offering, which is the J.I. spray can, which is kind
Yeah.
of like Louis Vuitton style.
But his initials, J.I., Joe Ivacek,
right,
which is pretty cool.
which is pretty fun. Very urban, very. They always catch your eye when you see these. Usually, there's installations on the wall with more multiples on top of his regular work. Okay, how's this flipping back and forth? Driving everybody crazy? Or are we okay?
Drive me crazy.
Is it driving you crazy? Just take a little bit of loading time. This is a fun piece. So this is a kind of a product of the glass class of our friend Deanna Clayton. If you've ever taken one of her class, you kind of make one of these smaller sculptures yourself. She sits you down and you sit around a table and you're able to make these beautiful vessel forms. And they're very fun. I made one, I know Corey made one, I think. Debbie here at the gallery made one, but we're putting a couple of them in the auction because they're priced really reasonable. But they're very fun and colorful. So we have one in the
It can fit just about anywhere too. But what I like about them is, like, you know, they're, again, scaled detail. They're smaller objects of notable artists, which can fit just about anywhere, but it's also, you know, it's not taking away from the overall sculpture. Scale isn't taking away. I mean, look at how beautiful that is.
So what I'll do then is we'll kind of keep going through the slides, and if you want to see a 360 video, we can incorporate that. It's less choppy. Thought it would run smoother, but it's always issues. This is a fun work by our friend Danny White. He is from the functional glass world, but he also makes sculpture. He's representing for quite a while now. Very cartoony, very talented artist, and definitely an important part of the future. This is one of his characters. He makes a bunch of unique characters, and he's someone to keep your eye on. And happy and honored to have him in the auction.
Also on Instagram, you should follow him. It is some of the funniest, most interesting and exciting posts I have ever seen. And so I literally every day, you know, chime into Danny White's Instagram, and he's got usually these small little videos about him as an artist.
Yeah, they're very well edited and they're very fun. Morag Reiki, we've had her at auction before. David Reiki's daughter, making wonderful cast glass mice celebrating childhood and difficulties in life. This piece called Something Old, New, and Shiny Too. You can see the year of it, made in 2023. It's a brand new work, looking for a home. And I find these works fairly peaceful and enjoy them.
Does she live in the United States now, or England? Because it says USA.
Yeah, it shouldn't say USA. She is in the UK. I'll correct that. Thanks, Ferd.
And those that don't know, Morag Reiki is David Reiki's daughter.
Yep.
David Reiki's been working in glass for years.
Yeah. Anybody want some sake? Who's lining up? I'm pouring. This is the two very cool sake glasses by our friend, the late friend Fujita Ferd had a relationship with during his career. And I've never seen sake glasses done before. And it's always fun diving into small collections and finding treasures like this and being able to offer them. So a rare opportunity, maybe to match your already ornate box. But I love these little cups. And they're 2.5, but how much sake do you need? Jack Schmidt, everybody knows Jack. He's still working today. He has an exhibition opening up, I think, in Columbus, or is already open with his wife and kids. And this is an early, probably a college age piece done by our friend Jack. And moral of the story, it's cool. I've never seen a Stein by such a well-known artist. It must have been made early in his career. But it's a very fun piece. I've been watching this piece for years as it's been by sitting around our gallery, moved around a lot, just because I never thought of putting it at auction, but now it's going to find a home for sure. Corey, you want to talk about this piece?
Yeah, this is a Peter Volkus teapot to go along with the sake glasses. If you don't know who Peter Volkus is, he was a brutalist ceramist artist that really kind of started, him and Ron Arneson, the California ceramic funk movement. And if it wasn't for Peter Volkus, this is crazy, Harvey Littleton would not have started the studio glass movement. He saw what Peter did, creating the symposiums and the interest in ceramics, and he very much wanted to do it in glass. Furthermore, Peter was out of California, and when they wanted to start a glass studio after the workshops, they sent Marvin Lepovsky over to California to start one of the very first studio glass workshops in a university setting. And that was all through Peter Volkas. So not only was he one of the most important ceramic artists, because at the time, remember, people were working in ceramics, they're making these beautiful vessels and these beautiful objects. He was really creating sculpture and artwork and stacks.
You could say the most important artist working in ceramics, I think, historically, that'll prove out certainly, and even right now, most people would say that.
Thank you, Ferd. Yeah. So again, very important to the studio glass movement, but also very important to what we know as the ceramic movement as well.
Thank you, Corey. A true treasure by our friend Paul Stankard, who we're going to be watching his historic video, new documentary during our Glass Coast Weekend up at the Flint Institute of Arts. We organized it to give a private screening of his new presentation, which is going to be exciting. Look, I watched the trailer; it looked like the whole movie, and this is a very fun work by our friend Paul. It incorporates the earth spirits, and incorporates the bee, and some foliage and some amazing. It's like sunflowers. A great example of the work by Paul. And we're honored to have him in this auction.
Yeah. Figures.
Corey, you want to take this, Richard Ritter?
I mean, so we saw the early vessels by Richard Ritter, almost like a tortoise shell, but this kind of goes along with a different series that he started to work on in the 70s. And you'll find a number of artists like Dick Marcus, Mark Pizer, even later Howell, that took Marini, which was technically pulling cane. It was a Venetian technique, and Americanized it. And this is an early piece from 79, 45 years ago, where Richard Ritter created a small paperweight, and I believe he did it for Ferd's show, 1979. I don't know. We'll have to check on that one.
Yeah, he did. 1979. Very good, Corey.
This was part of the original scale detailed exhibition. So that's why I thought it was just really significant to have it in this body of work. But this is a really early, yeah.
Actually, this was we did a national paperweight show, and this was part of the national paperweight show. And what was so funny is that we'd been showing artists that we felt were really strong, Littleton and Chihuly and Pizer, and we got very little press nationally. We did this paperweight show, and my goodness, we got all this national press that kind of put us on the map in a small way.
Thank you for clarifying. I got the two a little mixed up, but yes. Ferd was telling me one time we went to the Michigan Glass Project, which is essentially functional pipe makers. And the market now, we just went to this show, it's in June, last June. The market now is very similar to the paperweight market in 1979. And so you were telling me how interesting it was to see almost full revelation of early on and today working in glass.
A fun apple by our Audrey Handler, someone I'm not that too familiar with, but I know she did a lot of fruit.
Yeah.
And I know she's done multiple editions or things hang together and bowls of fruit. A lot of artists have done fruit, but
no, actually, I think you think of Flora Mace, Joey Kirkpatrick did fruit like that. This is very unusual. She was one of 2 or 3 women to actually work with glass. It was almost all men at that time. And she is still living and still working. She's best known for her little scenes with little figures, and she's set like a table with plates and
There you go.
goblets.
Bowl of fruit right there on our website. That
Yeah.
was crazy.
Well, I stand corrected. I thought you were thinking of Flora Mason Draker, Patrick.
Yeah,
Good going,
single
Aaron.
fruit. But I knew we're both right there, which is good to know. But yeah, very, very cool. Yeah, early on with Littleton. Was she in the classes that Harvey taught?
Uh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She's
she kept
definitely
those
mentioned
guys.
in Schiffer's Women in Glass, Schiffer's publishing company, Women in Glass, which is really important historical book. And if you don't have that, you should probably go on Amazon and get it. But she's mentioned as one of the early glass handlers, no pun.
Yeah.
Her, Sylvia Vigiletti, Mary Schaffer, even predate Tudzinski from 1969, where she took the class with Dale at RISD.
Yeah, we can see that she started working with glass in 65 and one of Harvey Littleton's first female students.
Yeah.
And it helped organize the Glass Art Society. So important artist.
Yeah.
So these are great. These are Shelley Allen's cups that we had for editions, I believe, at Sofa a while ago. And I want to put a 360 up just so you can see it. I'm going to try and do it in a better manner here, just so you can bring one in and kind of see the whole piece left and right of it. Very fun, very Shelley-esque with the rhino horn. And there's two pieces in the auction. One of them is blue, one of them is green, and both are priced very well.
It's amazing how much functional work we have. I mean, we have the Jack Schmidt, we got the Shelley Allen cups. I know there's a Joel Philip Meyer goblet. You could be, and cups are made to drink out of, believe it or not. I talked to Shelley and she says, no, actually, this is a functional sculpture. You can use it to drink. I won't put it in the dishwasher, but you can use it and look at this beautiful blue.
You really see the detail of that piece in the 360 versus just the. I don't think I drank
the cups by Fujita. I mean, you could just line your entire cabinet with cups and mugs.
All right, moving on. Blue and then green. They're both 6.5 inches tall. This one is 5 inches tall, but more wide. An old.
There's the mug, the goblet.
Another goblet, right? Of a historic cup by our friend Joe Philip Myers. Another true treasure we found around and we were able to incorporate in this auction for somebody to enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, back then in 1970s, these artists weren't famous. They weren't well known. They were making goblets and they made them to drink out of. It wasn't like they were on display. And it's amazing after all these years, these are like the greatest artists who have worked with glass in our lifetime. And they were just, messing around, making a goblet, making a mug, making a sake glass.
Mm-hmm. Things they know so well. Like, speaking of this is a very special opportunity in this auction. The Laura Donifer piece that's actually very new. She made it last year. And you can see the amount of detail work in this particular piece with all these beads. And it's a very elaborate process. Now, mind you, it's only 11 inches wide, 6 inches tall, but there's so much going on in this little treasure. I'm surprised this piece is available to put in this auction.
Well, Aaron, this piece wasn't available. It came in from the Benziton. She collaborated at Benziton Center, and we were able to get it in Sarasota. And so we're fortunate to have it. And she's not really producing much work right now, especially after what's gone on with personal mother, family issues in her life. So it's really almost an honor to be able to get this piece. I had no idea it was coming in, but this is the perfect show because it's a mini to be offering it.
See if I can get it to play. See the detail of it. It's a beautiful little treasure. A lot of beadwork. Reminiscent of the one you have in your house, Bird. But
Yeah.
different scale.
Yeah, very different scale. Yeah.
Continuing on. William Bernstein, the father of Alex Bernstein. We had a chance to meet him in I believe, Sarasota before. Came into the booth to see us when we had a pop-up space. a very fun work by the artist, and it's kind of like a bulbous sculpture, but it shows where the son learned from the father and creating something very interesting. And this is kind of reminiscent in my mind of Richard Jolly, but I suspect this style was done by maybe William Bernstein earlier.
Well, Billy Bernstein was working in glass for a number of years, and he started the Gas Conference. He was responsible for one of the artist's founding members. Same as you said Audrey Handler, but he's definitely responsible for starting the Gas Conference. And even though you might see the line drawings in Richard Jolly's work, Billy was predated the line drawing even prior to Joey and Flora, who took on line drawing for Chihuly with the patches years later.
A couple of fun Chihuly elements. Yeah, very, very interesting to find these in our vault. We're able to put them out. Maybe there's a reason you need a couple small pieces. Maybe you just love Chihuly at the price. Great example of work.
This is not a set. These were just extra elements that were we discovered. They're not signed, but they are 100% works that are Chihuly. And you can see the patent lip wrap, and of course we know where they came from.
A fun work by Jay Musler, who's well known for his abstract sculptures. This is kind of like a leaf, I believe, hidden inside of a box, some kind of small treasure. Different from what I've seen, but very similar to his kind of style where he creates well-mounted works. He's made these cages, he's made the cityscape pieces, and it's fun to see something by the artist in this auction.
He just retired. He just retired about a week ago. He's been working in glass for a number of years, and this is kind of a surprise. It was one of my favorite artists, but he decided that's it, I'm retiring. And so it's kind of a unique chance to get one of his pieces, but at this scale and size, I don't think there is a piece available that is 7 inches by 4 inches.
Right. Pre-mounted. And we've sold these in the past at auctions, these John Lewis moon vases, older work by the artist, reminiscent of ceramic, but 100% glass and very beautiful.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to mention that at the time when he was making these, he lived in California, still does. And there were the number of artists there that worked, and they had discovered fuming techniques, and nobody could really think too much beyond the vessel form and using the Tiffany-esque type techniques. And John Lewis kind of looked up in the sky, and he was inspired by what was going on the earth and the sky, and he then represented it in these works. And I gave him tremendous credit because he was very different than what the other artists were doing there in California.
Tony Jola, I think, how's it's pronounced. He recently passed away a couple of years ago, I think. Another Native American artist important to the glass movement, early artist too. And we're honored to have a piece of his in the auction. I've only experienced his work a little bit here on the secondary market, but there's been a lot of attention on this piece because of who he is and what he's accomplished. A fun work by our friend Richard Ritter. This is another one that would be better in the 360 by far. We can cue it up. But Corey's mentioned how fun it is the artists work together and be able to chance to see what they've done in their career. And this was a later piece done by our friend Richard, and you can really see talent in the work.
Really a whole retrospective of his work. We got the work from the 60s, we got the work from the late 70s, and this one is from 2009. It's kind of amazing. The apple form was he worked was inspired by when he went to College of Creative Studies here in Detroit. He was barely had any money to pay for school, and he would go to this apple orchard, and every day he would pick some apples and he would eat the apples on the side of the road, and then he basically survived that way. And interesting enough, he was asked to do this commission by a library that was in the same place as the apple orchard. And was inspired to make these apples and donate them to this library on the premise, which is kind of incredible, which started this whole series of the apple form. And using his caned technique, Americanized cane technique, he was able to create these wonderful little apples.
Marlene and Rose, an artist we currently work with here in the gallery a lot, have a great relationship with. Wanted to make sure she's represented in this auction with one of her smaller Buddha heads. These sell very well at the shows, and wanted the opportunity to put a beautiful little lilac one in the exhibition. So if you have thinking about her work in the past, what better time than now? Jen Violet, another one that is such an impressive piece. And this picture's a little bit yellow, but it's a completely white piece in reality. And they're just peaceful pieces, just overall really enjoyable. Let me see if I can get the video going to show you how the piece looks in a better reality. But they're just very peaceful. She's such an exciting upcoming artist. She's so talented, and she doesn't work on huge scale. She makes these small little intimate scenes, and they're just very, very peaceful and very beautiful. And I'm always a big fan of her work. And we've had our little house pieces in the auction before, but this is a different style. This one's called Winter Journey. All right, taken out. I'm going to try this. Yokoka Kojima. We saw this artist's work online, and we were just blown away of the talent of the carving and laminating and polishing to get these beautiful forms together. And you have to watch the video of this one. When you go to the website, you can actually see it's designed like a leaf, and it's just so pure and so stunning. And we have some more small cubes in the gallery by the artist too. Very small scale, very labor intensive, but definitely treasures. This is what this auction's all about, these small treasures. And this piece is definitely one of them.
Aaron, you and I first saw the work in Pittsburgh. Heather and Chris had, Pittsburgh, the institution that they work at, they had a show of artists working in Japan, and you and I saw Kojima's work there. That was the first time you and I saw that. That was 2005. And then it took us all this time to track down the work. And we did it through an artist by the name of Toshio Izumi, who gave us Kojima's contact. And she's been able to produce these really amazing pieces. But we tracked her down from a show that you and I went to in 2005.
That's funny. It's funny. Good to hear we found her finally. This is a warm, wonderful work by our friend Mark Petrovic. And I'm just going to bring it over and show you because it does a better job in the photo.
Yeah,
it's to see a wonderful little two-part piece. The actual roll-up below is what the artist used to create the design for the bird. So when that flat panel is designed, he rolls it up, and the end of the blowpipe is able to create the body for the bird with the same kind of design. So well thought out, and just an overall wonderful piece by Mark. All right, skipping over to a creative work by our friend Robert Bender, who's the husband of Christina Bothwell. He spent his career early on writing children's books, and now his brain just can't stop creating wild and wonderful things. This piece is called Pig, but it's obviously a mixture between a jug and a pig. It has some interesting narratives to it, but it's overall supposed to make you smile. It's a fun piece that we've incorporated in this auction. Stephen Pond. Corey, you want to take this one?
I mean, we have not been heavily involved in Stephen Pond's career, but I think he's making some absolutely incredible works. He's just gotten better and better and better. And this piece is so almost 20 years old. And he's still working with the idea that people wear these masks to hide their true identity. Here's a man that is completely naked and vulnerable, but he's holding that mask and making a decision whether or not he should, I don't know, put it on. I really find this to be it's a small piece, but it's extremely powerful.
Yeah, I like this piece a lot. I've seen a lot of the work by the artist, and some of it can be a little overwhelming with giant ships and whatnot, the paths that people take in life. This one's just a little bit more enjoyable in my mind. Many of you who are familiar with our gallery are familiar with Trina Weintraub's mice. She had a great installation here during our international show last year, a whole room dedicated to herself. And I can't tell you how popular these little creatures are. They're so fun. People have commissioned them, people have bought them, hid them around their house. I had a client nearby that had a fireplace access panel that she turned into a little hub for the mice to hang out in and stay there the whole time and keep an eye on the door to the fireplace. Just wonderful little glass works. And she's actually taking a hiatus from making these and stopping and switching to a different body of work. And before she did that, she actually raised her prices on these mice. So this is a great opportunity to get one at a great price if you have an hankering for a little bit of cute rodent in your home. This is a fun piece too by Carmen Lozar. I'm a big fan of her work. I've bought a couple of her works for my family and for my wife. And this one is called Squeeze. You can kind of see what's going on here. This is actually a wall-mounted piece. It comes on a bracket that mounts to your wall. And it's very fun. You get a chance to see how talented she is at the lamp working process. She always has fun narratives. And I think this is just going to be sold super quickly. Peter Bremer's work. It's great to have Peter in this auction. He's such an impressive artist and one of the most professional we work with. Smaller scale piece. I don't know how big this is. I think it's probably like, let me pull it up.
4 by 10 by 12.
4 by 10 by 12. Yeah, it lays flat. So I might as well pull over the video because I had to do it anyway to look at the actual scale of it. But if you know his work at all, it's reminiscent of his world travels. He goes to Antarctica. He goes to the desert. He goes to all kinds of places to get inspiration. And this particular work is just so peaceful. Small scale for the artist. It doesn't work on a scale this small this very often, but it fits our auction, so we decided to put it in there. It's Real Treasure by our friend Peter. Kathy Elliott. I think the ACG did a visit with them not too long ago about their careers, and they've been working with, I think she works with her husband. Is that right? Anybody know? Yeah.
Yeah, Ben
Yeah,
Evans.
Not from Corey and a yes from Ferg, which always helps. And every now and then we go to people's collections and we've seen them have these works, and they're kind of very beautiful vessel shapes, and they're very you spot them and you know who's made them in the past. And sometimes they're sets of one or two. This is a single piece alone, and they've been working with glass for a long time. And you said I think they're Australian, is that right? I mean, they're not.
Yeah.
All right. So it's fun to incorporate this kind of work because we see it and we walk by it and we see the talent and involved in making this kind of work, and it's fun to incorporate in this. Clifford Rainey, everybody's friend Clifford, who has recently rebuilt his studio out in California. And we wanted to make sure he was represented in this auction. He's such a long-time friend of our gallery, making very powerful work. And he's a teacher. He's taught so many of the artists that you know and love today. And we love making sure that he's represented in our gallery and showing his creativity and work. This is an edition he did called the Hand Tool series he had with us a couple of years ago. And we sold a couple of them and have a couple left over. And I think they're reversed cast objects leaving a negative space, but they are just
Aaron, these objects were what was left over from his entire studio being burnt down to the ground. And we're talking all of his archival work, all the student work that was given to him over the years from like Oban Abright and all these different students that have walked through his doors. And it was just total devastation. But within the ashes, he was able to grab some little precious gems and jewels and what have you through the ashes. And one of them was, of course, this oil can that he found beauty in something that was completely destroyed. And so these are, even though it's just an oil can maybe to us, to him it shows perseverance, it shows resilience. And so to me, it's a very powerful piece.
Thank you, Corey. Good story. Our friend John Moran, many of you know him as the winner of season 3 of Blown Away. He also appears on the newest season. No spoilers here, but he's a guest judge on one of the episodes. Very powerful work. We did a couple talks with him through NGG, discussing his career, his work, and his message. And he's just an incredible talent. And all the younger artists who work in like literal work or a part of the community looked up to our friend John. And so I own a couple of his pieces personally because I believe in him and his career and we wanted to incorporate him in the auction.
What's Coney Island special?
It's a hot dog, right?
Was this created in Detroit?
No,
I see.
this piece I think was created at the Corning during his residency. And he
Okay.
was there for Winning Blown Away. He made a couple pieces and sent it to us.
Yeah, I was wondering.
Coney Island special. This is what he's known for, this Mickey Morari, I think it's pronounced, design, like his logo. He has it on his sweatshirts too. A wonderful addition by a wonderful piece by our friend Peter Hora. These are reminiscents of his larger works. And a couple years ago, I think in 2019, he made a collection of these smaller works reflecting of his work over his entire career. Look at this color. It's just beautiful. I heard red is one of the most difficult colors to work with. And this is just a wonderful work by, in a smaller scale, by Peter Hora. A treasure from this auction, a really impressive piece by Robin Grebe. Robin has stopped working entirely, as far as I know, in glass, and she has a normal job at the moment, fabricating something for as a fabricator. And we want to shout out to her and include this masterpiece in the auction. And we've had it here for a little bit and just became real excited about the concept of incorporating it. And it has gotten some bids, and it's a substantial piece by Robin. And I don't know how many are left in the world. We sell them on the secondary market, but this one's still primary and just a wonderful example. Noble effort. So Corey can tell me about this piece a little bit. He gave me a little lecture on it not too long ago.
I did? No,
Yeah.
I did. Noble Effort was a production company that was created by Dick Marcus. And the idea was he was going to be able to offer his technical prowess and in smaller objects and be able to sell them at mass quantity. Unfortunately, and maybe fortunately, it never really took off in terms of the direction he wanted. He was able to sell a number of them, but after a while, it was like he was producing them. It took him just as much effort as it did some of the unique work. And so he decided to abandon that project and just to work on, unique objects. And so what is consequently left is a number of these pieces, and one of them is a boulder that was created. And it says 1989, but I'm surprised. I thought it would be earlier than that.
You can see his marine
Yeah.
hidden throughout the piece. We'll check the year on it, but
Maybe 1979,
maybe.
perhaps.
Yeah, I'll have to look at the piece. But
yeah.
Very fun piece from the era. Erwin Eich, had a chance to meet him. One day he stayed with the family when I was younger. Obviously, a very important artist and good friends with Harvey Littleton. Very interesting and fun work by him called Hi Mom. Don't know the inspiration behind it. It kind of looks like a candle wax down the side of it with a fun drawing on it. But he was so well known for his painting and his drawings and his vision of creating pieces with the heads open, talking about ideas coming into the world. And definitely, he needs to be in more museums as an important artist for the contemporary glass art world. Robert Levine, you want to take this one, Ferd?
Yeah, this is a series of goblets that he made that most of them took place like in the this one says 93, which is very late for this because he was doing them in the 70s, late 70s. And he would use different themes. A lot of them were very humorous. This one has a bird with the vessel, and you can tell it's later on because it's very sophisticated by the way it's made.
Yeah, it's
there's another bird vessel, but it's a little bit larger. That's in the White House collection. You could probably pick up the book. It's called the White House Collection, with a Dante Marioni on the cover, but Robert definitely has a piece that's in the collection with a bird.
Gotcha. Brian Russell, someone I don't know much about that we've got in for the secondary market. a thicker glass piece. I can show you the video of it too, just to give you an idea of what the
He
piece.
usually incorporates metal and glass. We've had a few pieces in the gallery come in and out over the last, I don't know, 30 so years. But this piece is all glass, all cast. Really quite beautiful.
Beautiful green color. Definitely of the,
Is celadon or seafoam.
yeah.
Mhm.
All right, and then we're getting to the end here. We've had a lot of popular requests on this piece. Naoko Takanochi, tried my best with that. And it's a very peaceful piece. And I looked up the artist a bit earlier and saw she's obviously Asian, but I believe she lives in Canada. Has been creating these type of forms. I've seen these forms at auction before, and they're quite well known. It's a vessel, let's call it a vessel on top of a stand, but it's a very peaceful piece with lots of beautiful imagery throughout the entire thing.
She was from Canada and she went back to Japan and get a full year degree
Mm.
in Tokyo in glassmaking, and then came back to Canada, where that's where she's known for working. She's won a number of awards, and if you look carefully, you see all the work that's done on each individual piece. She's quite an interesting artist.
Yeah, it's almost worth showing that.
It looks like almost like a map has been, or drawn on the bottom of the sculpture,
Yeah,
or hieroglyphics, or you know what I think of? I think of in the Nazca lines,
mhm. Yeah, it is a very nice
and
color.
almost ceremonial in a way.
Yeah, you can see that almost like an award. The end here. A fun piece by Gary Beecham. There's a lot of clarity in this work mixed with color. And yeah, overall, a very interesting platter by the artist. I've not seen much of his work in my career, but I've heard the name a lot.
Yeah,
Gary lives in North Carolina,
for
right?
Harvey Littleton for a number of years. Very, very good glass handler. And he, like Corey had mentioned, was very influenced by the canes working that way. And that was really brought from Vanini via Richard Marquis, who said to these guys, "Boy, I got something to show you guys," and he showed them cane work, and it influenced Richard Ritter and obviously Beecham too.
Yeah. A smaller sculpture by Etienne Leperlier, the late brother of Antoine Leperlier, who worked in a similar style, and Antoine being more well known. But every now and then we go into homes in collections, we get to see Etienne's work. He kind of was slowing down when I started my career here at Habatat, but it's always great to see the work reminiscing of the era. And Antoine, his brother, is still working today. Back to Clifford. This is a more substantial piece, though not insanely big. 28 inches tall, representing the icons that he's so well known for. This piece is multiple castings that end up mounting together with small little pegs that go between them. And then the base of it is cast as wood and painted gold with a rock, as you can see below it. And
Now, the reason for the rock below, which a lot of people wonder about, is that this was based on artists working primarily in ceramics on a table. And as they pushed into the piece, they could topple the table. So they used to put a rock down below to hold it firm so that they could work on it. And he liked that hands-on quality on the surface of a piece, even though it's glass. He likes to have that reference of how it was made. So this is a fabulous piece. It's a little big piece, you know.
has a big presence for sure. And it's one I could live with for sure in my home with the size and scale of it. Everything in this auction, perfect size and scale. So the last piece is our friend David Riki, whose daughter is represented earlier in the auction. This is a consigned piece we have in the gallery, and it is called Greek Head 1. This piece needs to sit in the front of your house as people walk in, so they can give it a big whoa or a kiss, whatever they choose to do. Because David's work is so humorous, you cannot miss this piece. I mean, if more museums had work like this, I would go more often because it just makes you smile, and you wouldn't normally catch a glance like this from an individual person, but you will from a David Ricci. And
I went to the Greek Isles, and we went from, I don't know, 5 or 6 different museums. I went to a museum in Crete. I went to all over the place, and you see so many of these Grecian sculptures, during the Hellenistic period. And this would be really funny if it was incorporated in, because they're all so like serious.
right.
And it was, how do I create something to look exactly like that person? And they want so everything is like extremely hyper realist, but it'd be great to have this mixed in.
Yeah, I think it'd be real fun. So again, thank you for joining us today. The button for joining the auction is on top of our website. If you want to join and watch or bid, go to our website, click on the Master View Auction button, register. The auction will start in about 15 minutes plus a few extra minutes. When you get there, the site looks like this. You'll see a button here. I think it pops up now that will say register to bid or bid on lots, because the auction is live now. And it looks just like this, which is what we kind of looked at earlier when I was showing you the slides. So that basically breaks down the whole event for today's auction. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. I'm sitting by my robot, or give us a call. But we're looking forward to an exciting auction starting at 12:50 or 2:15 today, and finding some homes for some wonderful pieces. Thank you, Corey. Thank you, Ferd. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. Good seeing you all, and I hope you all have a great day.
Bye,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Bye.
Bye, Bob.